Hello, welcome back, and thanks for being here as we start off another week of Your News Today. This one beginning on the 11th day of the fourth month, and I just want to say wait for it. Just wait for it. And if you wait just long enough, we've got warm air finally making its way back into the forecast. Before all of that, the winds. Yeah, you've seen that red flag warning for a lot of eastern Kentucky, but winds out and ahead of a cold front that will give us a chance of some rain, maybe even some thunderstorms tonight. Behind that cold front, we've got high pressure along with some colder, drier air that's going to stick around for your Tuesday. And if you wait just long enough in the forecast, then after that cold air leaves and leaves high pressure behind, the 70s return, and they stick around for a while. A novel idea for spring weather in Kentucky. A bump or two to get over with between now and then, but the 70s do make a run at the forecast for days on end. I'll tell you more about it in just a second. I'll tell you how the cold and the snow and the winds didn't dampen the spirits or slow down anything at the Civil War reenactment over the course of the weekend. They had a wonderful time, just a wonderful historic weekend, and they're building on next year and the history of the Civil War Park at the same time. More on that in just a few moments. A lot of follow-ups and updates from some of our top headlines this past week. We'll get to those in just a few moments as well, and remind you about 70 years of history recognized tomorrow at a local life-saving agency. We'll get to that in just a few moments. I have a couple of other updates coming from our state's capital. And one is about the budget, where there is really no update there except to say that they are still working. In fact, lawmakers quit negotiations for the day at least, just before midnight last night. Senator Chris McDaniel today, who's the Senate chairman, said that the House and Senate negotiations had finally worked out an agreement on the cuts of about 4.5% for higher education across Kentucky. However, they were still reaching an impasse on what to do about the state public pension debt, which still stands at some $30 billion. Lawmakers do plan to get back together tomorrow, what is slated for the final day of this legislative session. We'll wait and see if they can come to some sort of an agreement and forego an expensive special session that would have to be called by the governor to reach some sort of a budget agreement. Speaking of the governor, and actually the Attorney General of Kentucky, who says this is not political or anything else but following the law, Attorney General Andy Beshear today officially did file a lawsuit in Franklin County Circuit Court challenging the authority of which Governor Matt Bevin recently ordered 4.5% in cuts in the current fiscal year to Kentucky's public universities and colleges. The lawsuit outlines how Governor's March 31st letter unilaterally cutting Kentucky's post-secondary institutions is illegal, violating Kentucky's constitutional provision of the separation of powers, as well as the governor's constitutional duty to faithfully execute the law, he says. He says the action by the governor further violates numerous Kentucky statutes that govern budget reductions and specifically violates the 2014-2016 biennium budget law, according to the suit. I can also say the Office of the Attorney General has requested that the governor rescind his order within a 7-day time frame in order to avoid litigation. May have some remarks via a statement from the governor in just a few moments in his response. A host of follow-ups from last week, some late week filings in regards to a couple of high-profile cases, those centering around Paintsville Mayor Bob Porter and former utilities manager Larry Harold, where Larry Harold has put in a request for a rearrangement, which has been granted for this Friday. He apparently has reached a plea agreement with prosecutors in the case and the charges against him. There was also a request or documents filed related to the request of a continuance in the case filed on Friday. We'll have more on that in just a few moments, but filed on Friday was a request on behalf of Harold, who apparently intends to plead guilty to count 6 of the superseding indictment. That superseding indictment having same charges for Harold and Porter as of the original indictment, but added the name of Euless Crace, Paintsville business owner. And we'll talk more about that in just a few moments. But in court documents filed on behalf of the former utilities manager, he plans on, and it appears as though, pleading guilty to that 6th count of the superseding indictment in which he was charged with lying to the FBI, saying that he was unaware, had no knowledge of Robert Porter, the mayor of Paintsville, being delinquent on his utilities bill until it was brought to his attention by the city council, and that he was also uncertain as to why utility service was not cut off due to the delinquency, which amounted to more than $7,000 in arrears.
Harold is set to appear before the Honorable Danny C. Reeves in federal court for rearraignment this Friday in London at 9:45 that morning. Meanwhile, there has been another document filed in regards to the motion to continue the case on behalf of Euless Crace's attorneys, where Euless Crace had moved in legal documents to continue the trial set for May the 16th based on his need for additional time to review discovery materials, obtain transcriptions of recordings, and have being examined regarding health issues that may bear on his ability to assist in the defense. There was also said to be a conflict in regards to the calendar or schedule of Kerry B. Harvey, United States Attorney, and therefore the United States has granted a continuance of 30 to 45 days for the trial in and of itself. And that 30 to 45 days will be added to the most recent 70-day window, which was reset, if you will, on March the 11th, with the most recent arraignment in the case.
A couple of other bits of information to pass along this evening. The fact that services began this evening in honor of 15-year-old Luke Cottle of Johnson Central High School. Of course, he had transferred there from the Pikeville area and was a freshman at Central before his passing late last week. We also have an update on a remembrance set in his honor for tomorrow evening after funeral services.
Visitation began at 6 o'clock this evening in honor of the 15-year-old freshman. It did so at the J.W. Call Funeral Home in Pikeville, while funeral services are set to take place at the same location and facility in the afternoon of tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Burial will follow in the R.H. Ratliff Cemetery in Shelbyana. It's also been noted that there will be a candlelight vigil held in his honor. This will be following services tomorrow evening at 8:15. You're asked to join them, if you so desire, in the parking lot in front of the Big Sandy Superstore in Paintsville for that vigil. Once again, it starts at 8:15 following services, which will start in Pikeville tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Going back to a high-profile case and the topic of corruption in eastern Kentucky until his potential release, which is uncertain tomorrow, is known. We do, however, know that a federal judge did announce release conditions, indicating that there may be a potential for the release of Eric C. Kahn pending a detention hearing tomorrow in federal court on federal fraud, conspiracy, and other charges. The court has filed documentation saying they anticipate announcing particular release conditions. One specifically will involve a bond secured by his unencumbered Pikeville home. It also stipulates that Kahn shall take the steps necessary and be prepared to document that bond post-hearing and pre-release per local rule. While there has been no confirmation that he will be released, it does appear as though federal paperwork has been filed indicating the potential thereof. His two co-defendants, if you will, Dr. Bradley Atkins and former Judge Doherty, are still charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud as well as mail fraud and counts of wire fraud and other charges related to the case, and are both free on bond. I'll be right back after these messages. For high-speed internet starting at 15 meg for all of your gaming, movie, home, and business solutions, or to watch TV, including your favorite local channels without a contract with hundreds of channels and digital and HD quality, and to stay connected 24/7 with friends and family, a direct line to 911, or to give your business the link it needs, choose telephone service you know is always there. Just click on their link on this site to find out how affordable the latest technology in communications can be. Foothills Communications.
I've got calendar and some other announcements pending in just a few moments, but let's take a venture up to Half Mountain right now, up Route 7 to the Civil War Park, where it is indeed going to look much more like a park in the coming days, literally, as crews are expected to begin construction on the walk path, on the paved parking area, and a state-of-the-art shelter as well, and that's only Phase 1. The groundbreaking for Phase 1 was only a part of a weekend set to honor the Battle of Half Mountain at Punchin, or the Battle of Punchin at Half Mountain, I should say, I guess, and also recognize the history contained therein, but it was also a time to celebrate, and celebrate they did. The Miss Belle of Appalachia pageant, to the ball, to the tremendous performances by Black Powder Express, the legend Larry Sparks on Saturday, and a full lineup on Sunday as well.
Like Randall says, if you missed it, you missed it.
If you missed it, I'm sorry, you missed it. And the best thing about it, everything is free. We don't charge any admission. You get to see the shows, you get to see the reenactment, and I don't know what else we could do to make the event better, but we're certainly going to try to figure out what we can do to make it better. We're going to make this something to be proud of in Magoffin County.
And they'll have a permanent and appropriate place to do so before the first of 2 reenactments. Ground was broken, with the project to begin as soon as weather permitting, possibly as soon as today, with the first phase of the project including a half-mile walking trail, a parking area, as well as a state-of-the-art shelter for use by all of Magoffin County and those who are visiting.
South end of Magoffin County deserve to have some additional facilities, and Matt was saying this is just the start. Without further ado, we welcome you all here, and on the count of 3, let's break ground. 1, 2, 3.
The Civil War Reenactment Committee started in 2010, working towards getting just such a park to commemorate the Battle of Punchin and Half Mountain, and not even cold blowing snow could slow them down or dampen the spirits for their reenactment weekend.
Believe it or not, the weather was horrible, but the event was great. As you can see in the background, the tent set up. These guys came out Friday. They camped through snow, rain, freezing temperatures, high wind. They stuck with us the entire weekend, and I couldn't be proud of our reenactors.
At the heart of it all, the reenactment of the Battle of Punchin at Half Mountain, where reenactors from all over the state and states, mind you, travel to be a part of this event, with them promising to have double the participants next year as they all look forward to coming back to Magoffin County. 2 of them I spoke with, and a third who didn't have to travel that far, that being our own Sergeant Major Conley.
It's Sergeant Major.
Sergeant Major, all right.
That what they call me here, but my real name's John Martin Conley.
What about you younger fellas?
I'm Captain Ronnie W. Meade from Castlewood, Virginia. I'm with the 1st Virginia Cavalry Company D, dismounted.
Jeff Steiner, Captain Jeff Steiner, Columbus, Ohio, Captain of the 5th Kentucky Infantry.
I've been doing reenacting probably for like 14 years. The 1st Virginia was in almost every major engagement in Virginia. Served with Stonewall Jackson. Their finest hour is Winchester, Virginia, when they held the entire Federal Army off while the Confederates were able to turn and retreat. I've just met First Sergeant John here this weekend. He's done an excellent job for me as a runner and everything else we ask him to do. He knows more words than Webster's Dictionary.
Kentucky was organized in Louisville, Kentucky in 1861. We were known as the Citizen Guard. There was 2 5th Kentuckys. One was out of Brevet County and one was out of Louisville. It took the federal government a year or so to figure out they had 2 5th Kentuckys. By 62, our 5th Kentucky was pretty much wiped out, and we become the 9th Kentucky. Our unit attended over 150th anniversaries. We traveled over 8,000 miles last year. We try to do anywhere from 12 to 14 events a year. The reason we reenact is for keep the history alive, honor, respect. Doesn't make any difference if you're a Confederate soldier, a Union soldier. They're all American soldiers, and we deserve to give them all the honor and respect we possibly can because they all fought for something they believed in.
And if they didn't already know, everyone who was there over the course of the weekend left believing that this was a wonderful display of historic preservation and honor bestowed on our forefathers who fought on either side of the war. It's all free, and it's all guaranteed to be back next year, even bigger than this year was.
You know, when this battle took place on April 14th, 1864, it made the New York Times. It was that important. It was the battle that ended the Civil War in eastern Kentucky. Middle Creek started the war in eastern Kentucky. Puncheon Creek and Little Half Mountain finished it. And why it got lost to history, I don't know. But we've uncovered it. We're exposing it. And it's not going to be forgot again.
Tomorrow's going to have a couple of stories that we're already working on, and one is already proving to be very interesting and historic, and they've been digging up as many old photographs and information as they can about the history of the Sagersville Fire Department, and Mr. Cartoon's even in them, and some other photographs as well. It's really turned out to be quite a little of a treasure trove they have discovered, all part of an open house tomorrow at the Sagersville Volunteer Fire Department. We'll be talking with firemen and other representatives tomorrow. Tonight, just a special invitation that I wanted to pass along to you, alongside some of the photographs that Fire Chief Paul Howard passed along to me just earlier today.
Yeah, really, how it all began, it wasn't the city that necessarily started the Sagersville Fire Department. That's just one of the facts that they have uncovered in their search for history, accompanied by a lot of photographs from the original 46 model fire truck purchased new to some others that the fire department has had throughout the years. They are going to talk about chiefs. They're going to talk about history. So, of course, some of the major fires that McGoffin County has seen in its history, and the city of Sagersville, of course. So all that is going to be the topic of tomorrow, and not just for the open house, but for stories to follow here on the program. As for the open house, just real quickly, an announcement, 9:30 to 4 o'clock. It's an open-door, open house event tomorrow. They'll have soup, beans, and something good to eat all day long, so stop in and eat breakfast or lunch, beans for breakfast or lunch, or both with them. But be sure and stop by 9:30 to 4. They've got a PowerPoint put together, a lot of old photographs, and they'd like to hear if you have any old stories or information or photographs to share. Certainly bring them with you. But they'll take a look back at the history and also take a look at the future of the department as well. But it's just tomorrow, an open door for open house, 9:30 to 4 o'clock all morning and afternoon at the Sagersville Fire Department. So if you're out in town, stop and get you a free meal and feast your eyes on some of the history that they've been able to uncover of the Sagersville Fire Department service, now 70 years in the making. Now turning to your McGoffin Farm Bureau community calendar announcements that are going a little too fast. Hang on. There, that's better. Revival going on nightly through Friday beginning at 7 at the Mount Sinai Church of God across from the Sagersville Speedway with Brother Glenn Hughes. Brother Herman Roberts welcomes everyone to come and join them. A Prevent Underage Drinking Town Hall meeting is set for tomorrow afternoon at 4 at the McGoffin County Health Department. They'll be discussing the problems with expert panelists, sharing ideas to address those problems. They'll have refreshments and door prizes as well. They ask you to be there and be aware. McGoffin County Schools Food Service Summer Feeding Program is looking for some locations. They'll provide the meals, but they need maybe some churches or youth groups or community centers or anywhere, parks, anything of that nature where kids can be served. They'll prepare the meals. All someone else has to do is just serve them and keep account of how many they served each day. If you have any ideas, call Andrew Oliver at 349-8215. The second annual fishing tournament hosted by the Sagersville Volunteer Fire Department has been set for May the 14th. So get your boats, get them ready, and they have a $1,000 payout guarantee. It's $100 per boat to enter. Call the fire department at 349-3216. And a workshop talking about how to learn more about raised bed gardens and the how-tos to get the most out of your small garden. Two great topics of discussion, the 21st and the 22nd at the McGoffin County Extension Office. I'll remind you when they get a bit closer, but wanted to put it out there for tonight. As I always put out there, this is how you get announcements on the program. Birthdays, anniversaries, and the like. Mail, email, Facebook, phone, fax, drop them off here at the studio. Any way you can get them to us, we'll get them on and tell everyone about them. Turning to funeral arrangements, service is brought to you on behalf of the McGoffin County Funeral Home. 41-year-old Wilma Vanetta Gibson Keaton of College Heights passed away on the 9th, the daughter of the late Gary Wayne and Ella Mae Gibson. She survived by a son, William Brady Gibson, and daughters Ella Hope and Nikki Mae Gibson. Visitation is this evening, all day tomorrow, and prior to Wednesday's services that will begin at 11 o'clock that morning. Visitation and services from the Licking River Church, with the burial to follow services at the Gibson Cemetery at Sayersville. And 50-year-old Debbie Arnott, Deborah Elaine Salyer Arnott of New Paintsville Road, passed away yesterday, the daughter of the late Kenneth Salyer and the late Emma Faye Burke. She was married to Matthew Arnott, who survives. She's also survived by daughters Lakota Arnott and Chloe Jade Salyer. Visitation will be after 5 tomorrow and prior to Wednesday services. They're slated to start Wednesday afternoon at 1, both visitation and services from the McGoffin County Funeral Home. Burial following at the Warney Bailey Cemetery at Bee Tree.
In other headlines, they're back at it again. Just wanted to pass along to you. I had a family member, actually, who was the target of a potential scam earlier today. The telephone rang, and the number on the ID showed up as a 562 area code, followed by 240-7849. On this occasion, there was also a name attached as Paul Cross. On this occasion, the person on the other end of the phone alleging to be with the IRS, threatening lawsuit if fines and or other things were not paid and settled over the phone and immediately, which of course we cover this on a near monthly basis, but a scam of some sort. But they keep at it until they find someone off guard, and they do take advantage of them. Now, this same scam is once again making its way around eastern Kentucky. It's not just in McGoffin and Johnson and other counties that I'm aware of, but elsewhere. And they're also portraying themselves to be representatives of utility companies, hospitals as well, and the IRS seems to be the most predominant one at this time, I guess, given the fact that it is, of course, tax season, maybe possibly one of those reasons. Nevertheless, it's not operating procedure of any of those entities to call and request payment or solution or resolution of fines in that manner or anything of that nature. So, best thing to do, well, you can either hang up, but then pick the phone back up immediately and call authorities and alert them to the information, as hopefully somewhere they'll be able to catch some of the individuals who are perpetrating yet another scam. This time it appears as though they might be targeting older individuals, possibly over the age of 60, with their phone calls.
I'm glad to announce that the target in your Licking Valley RECC forecast for tonight is the 70s. A little while to get there. Remember I said at the top of the show, just wait for it, wait for it. Well, that's all we got to do. All we have to do is wait out a cold front tonight. We've seen winds out and ahead of it. We'll see strong southerly flow ahead of an approaching cold front. That's responsible for those gusty winds into this evening. They have been slacking here close to the 6 o'clock hour, but we've seen sustained winds from 10 to 20 miles per hour and gusts over that today, and we'll see some milder winds out there. I've got a 10 o'clock wind right now coming out of the northwest, and it had an 18 mile per hour just a short time ago. We will see some showers later. We'll see those west winds and west to northwest winds 5 to 28 miles per hour with a low of 42 tonight. Tomorrow, the cold front comes through and then leaves us with some cold air behind it. 55 expected for your Tuesday. Now, there is a chance of some scattered showers, mainly before 8 in the a.m. tomorrow. After that, I think we'll be cloudy through mid-morning and then some gradual clearing thereafter, hitting about 55 for our peak. Winds will be much more calm and more to the north, more out of the north, maybe 5 to 7 miles per hour. And like I said, clearing skies and close to freezing tomorrow night. That will signal a little bit of frost, I think, Tuesday and into your Wednesday morning, where temperatures rebound to 63 degrees for your daytime high, under sunny and clear and calm skies. A little bit below average, but 63 and sunny midweek. A low of 38. That night, still under clear skies, and this is where it gets better. The cold air makes its way out, leaves us with some high pressure ruling the roost, and we'll see near 70 Thursday, sunny and clear with nighttime lows in the low 40s across the board. 71 and sunny on your Friday, 72 and sunny on your Saturday. Clear skies start to finish, and 74 and sunny on your Sunday. How's that for an end week and weekend forecast that I think we're all very deserving of?
Well, that's a wrap for today. I've already got a full day slated for tomorrow. The McGoffin County Public Library Board meets in regular session tomorrow. We'll have a camera there. We'll have a report to follow. The Sagersville Volunteer Fire Department, remember, invites you down anytime tomorrow, 9:30 to 4. They're going to have soup, beans, and all the fixings and ask you to stop by and celebrate with them as they honor 70 years of service. It's going to be a really neat day and a neat story to follow up on tomorrow night, as well as other news and information. We're also awaiting the release of the audit for McGoffin County from state government. The state auditor's office should be releasing the completed audit sometime in the relatively near future. We're waiting on that and other news and information that you'll only find first when you see us back here next time for more of Your News Today. Thanks for watching and good night.